Christmas is that time of year where you fill your heart with joy and cheer. Spending time with family, with loved ones, decorating a tree, hanging up some tacky lights, and watching old Rankin Bass movies. Preferably one that's not Cricket on the Hearth, but you should know that by now. This Christmas, I want to talk to you about a movie that's very close to my cold, frigid heart, which, much like Dante's Circles of Hell, the closer you get to the center, the more cold and frigid it becomes. Only the most wretched, terrible films belong in this circle. And today, that film is Christmas with the Kranks. Now, I know what you're thinking. One of your least favorite movies of all time is some stupid Christmas Tim Allen comedy? And yes, the answer is yes. On the surface, you could consider this a mediocre family comedy movie. Some Christmas movie that just gets airtime because it's a Christmas movie, because it's about the holidays, and TNT and all those stupid little cable channels need something to play to fill their time. It represents the Christmas spirit. There's Christmas things in it. There's snow, there's trees, there's Tim Allen, I guess. Tim Allen has been in a lot of Christmas movies. We don't talk about that enough. There is just something more to this film that is just so disturbing to me. And you know what? We're going to talk about that. But first, I want to talk about the plot. And yes, if you're asking, this is going to be a spoiler discussion. I'm going to get into everything. So if you don't want spoilers for Christmas with the Kranks for some reason, well then you just gotta walk yourself right out of the video. Just goodbye. I'm sorry. It's not gonna be a standard review. I gotta rip this thing apart. It's a bad movie. Don't watch it. That simple as that, really. I mean, you need a review. There it is, right there. This dumpster fire kicks off with Luther and Nora Krank, played by Tim Allen and Jamie Lee Curtis, respectively. They wake up on the Sunday morning after Thanksgiving to take their 23-year-old daughter Blair to the airport as she heads to Peru to work in the Peace Corps. Blair is their only child, and now with her gone, they're having to deal with the idea of having no one home for Christmas. On their way home from the airport, we see the relationship between Luther and Nora, and my God, is it uncomfortable. In their first true scene together, their real introductions as characters to us, they spend it arguing about white chocolate and almonds, with nearly every word they say to each other being either an attack or an attempt to embarrass the other. There is not a shred of dialogue here that sounds like it's from a happy couple. Instead, you get Nora condescending to Luther about her complex ritual of talking to the local butcher for the location of the chocolate at their local chips.
As odd as it sounds, I didn't think of asking the butcher where the chocolate was.
While Luther whines about having to walk through some rain that gets him cartoonishly wet.
You need an umbrella!
No! You know why I don't want one of your stupid umbrellas? Because I got one! I couldn't get any wetter!
This scene also establishes another recurring theme in this movie: filler. Almost all of this scene is completely worthless. The conversation is of a mundane task of picking up a few items from the store. This entire conversation takes about 5 minutes of runtime. The only two things of consequence that happen in this scene is that Luther sees a sign advertising for a Caribbean vacation, and this Santa is very passionate about his umbrella sales.
You could use an umbrella!
This is gonna come back later. I don't even know why it comes back later, but that specific part's gonna come back later. We'll get to it. It's down the line. We'll get to it. Don't worry about it. Cut to sometime later, probably the next day, and Luther is in his office calculating up his family's expenses last year on Christmas, which somehow total up to just over $6,000, a totally relatable amount of money to spend on a holiday. So Luther comes home to Nora where they have the closest scene of them seeming like they're a loving couple. Really though, he proposes his idea of skipping Christmas, avoiding the holiday altogether because they feel that without their daughter at home, it would just be too depressing. Plus, they would save thousands of dollars by using just half of their previous Christmas budget and using it to go on a cruise to the Caribbean. Really, it sounds like the perfect idea. You save some money, you go on a tropical vacation, you get away from your oppressive neighbors, and we'll get to more on that later. But Nora has just one hang-up.
Well, we can still give our charitable donations to Children's Hospital and of course the church.
No, this is a total boycott, honey.
Oh. And no.
Stupid idea.
This carries on into the next scene where it is completely resolved and never mentioned again. Just an impeccable screenplay here, but put a pin in that, we'll get more into that later. So Luther and Nora decide to skip Christmas, and for them this doesn't just mean not decorating and buying presents, it's a complete break from any and all celebrations of the holiday. To kick this off, Luther types up a memo and spreads it around his office excitedly, obnoxiously telling everyone that he is not celebrating Christmas this year. Then when he gets home, the local Cub Scout troop, yeah, these are Cub Scouts, not Boy Scouts like the movie wants you to think. Anyway, the Cub Scouts have a tree all ready for them when Luther has to be like, I didn't order a tree, so pass. And the scout leader gets really pissy, like it's an affront to the children that he doesn't buy a $90 tree.
Luther Krank just stiffed the scouts on a Christmas tree.
Luther explains it's because he's skipping Christmas and he doesn't want a tree, but like, what if he just got an artificial tree? Which, by the way, is so much more convenient than actually having a physical tree in your living room. Artificial trees are reusable, you can have them year after year, they don't make as much of a mess, you don't have to keep watering it and like maintaining it. You don't have pine needles getting all over your floor. They are so messy and they don't add anything to the experience really. Just get artificial trees, people. The practicality of Christmas trees aside, the scouts claim that they got stiffed, which is not accurate because you aren't stiffing the bill on someone when you don't buy what you never ordered. But they complain to everyone who will listen, including Vic Frohmeyer, played by real-life weirdo Dan Aykroyd. Frohmeyer is kind of like the leader of the neighborhood, the one that gets really passive-aggressive when you don't do exactly what he wants. He takes it upon himself to pressure the Kranks to put up their Frosty the Snowman, a fiberglass ornament that apparently every single person in the block owns and puts on their roof. You see, in his mind, this is a community holiday.
Christmas has always been a neighborhood thing around here, you know that.
Yeah.
Everybody decorates, everybody bakes cookies and swaps gifts. I guess we do it for the kids.
Vic, have you ever met a descendant of the 12 tribes of Israel? From here, the neighborhood devolves into targeted harassment against the Kranks, like how earlier Nora is walking around when she's suddenly confronted by her gift card provider. Yeah, this movie really knows how to be relatable to modern Americans. Anyway, her gift card provider, or stationery expert, or whatever the fuck it's called, Albie is his name. He follows after Nora to talk about why she hasn't put in any orders for cards. Now, Nora politely tells him she's not getting any cards this year and excuses herself to lunch with her friends. So, like a sane person, Albie confronts her in the middle of the restaurant on this inconceivable idea of not getting Christmas cards. When she again politely declines, he makes a point to tell everybody about how she isn't buying cards, acting completely offended that a customer is making a decision that doesn't benefit a business. This, of course, leads to her awkward conversations with her friends on her choice to spend time away on the holidays with her husband, whose relationship is in obvious need of repair. The fucking nerve of these people, right?
How do you simply not do Christmas? Wait, you skip it.
These people are insane, and you can see Albie glaring at her while sitting at, someone else's table. He didn't walk in with those people. He doesn't know those people. He's just sitting at someone else's table glaring at Nora for She didn't buy stationery, dude. Get over it. This guy needs to learn about boundaries. People all over give the Kranks snide remarks about not getting presents for them this year.
Good morning, Mr. Scrooge.
Or their neighbors in the middle of a workday gathering outside their home and loudly demanding that the Kranks decorate their home for the holiday they don't feel like celebrating.
Vic Frohmeyer, Wes Trott, and Ned Becker, and a gang of their kids.
We're here for Frosty.
They want Frosty.
Well, they can't have him.
Nora, please give us Frosty.
Or how one night there's some Christmas carolers who come to the block. See, this guy is Walt, and Walt is Luther's rival of sorts. They don't really like each other at all. So Walt directs the carolers to Luther's home, saying he's in need of some Christmas cheer, being fully aware that he does not want that at all.
You're just trying to avoid Christmas this year.
Do what?
You heard me. He's kind of weird.
You know, this movie came out in like fucking 2004. There were atheists, Muslims, Jehovah's Witnesses, and plenty of people who just don't celebrate the Roman winter equinox. This movie acts like not celebrating Christmas is fucking unheard of. But the whole neighborhood gathers together and spends hours loudly singing out on the Kranks' lawn while they try to spend a nice night together. Hell, they even go to a side window and stare in at them like they're about to break into the house and remind Jamie Lee Curtis where she got her start. They get so obnoxious and just plain creepy that Nora and Luther Luther are forced to go down to their basement because they don't feel comfortable in their own home. Between this is some weird scenes like how Nora and Luther go to a tanning salon for some reason. Apparently Luther thinks you have to get a tan before you go to the tropics, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. The whole point of this scene is, I guess it's funny when your pastor walks in on you trying to get a tan, and then judges and ogles you when you're in a bikini. Like, dude, just because she's in a bikini doesn't mean you can act like a fucking creep. Hell, this whole incident is so noteworthy that it makes front page news. A whole article on how the Kranks' selfishness ruined the block's chances on a local holiday block award for tacky lights or whatever. And a whole piece written about how they aren't celebrating Christmas. Maybe I'm harping on this point a lot, but again, do non-Christian people live in this town? Or maybe one family who thinks the over-commercialization of the holiday has gone too far, so they just don't want to deck the halls with plastic ornaments and lights. Not letting their community push them into doing what the community wants them to do, taking a stand on what they want to be, until...
I'm in Miami and I'm coming home for Christmas.
What?
Yeah, that's right. Blair is coming home for Christmas with her new fiance, which she apparently has. Sure, she's only been gone for less than a month, and she waited to tell her family she was coming home until she was about to board her connecting flight from Peru to Miami to Chicago on Christmas Eve. Who the fuck does that? What the hell is your problem? But Nora completely 180s and is determined to get everything ready for the holidays, intent to never let their little 23-year-old child know that her parents may have made their own plans, and hey, calling before you book a flight, or hell, sometime before you're about to board your connecting flight, is a good idea. And we would never want to let her know that you're inconveniencing us, or that she's an adult and that she should make plans like an adult and like take responsibility for her actions, because that's just rude. That's just blatantly rude. Why would you do that? Like, what the fuck? The rest of the movie is weak slapstick and idiotic humor as the family bumbles around to get ready for Blair. But when Luther nearly falls to his death when putting up Frosty, the whole community decides to pitch in and help them out.
But we're a community, and the people in a community stick together, even if one of them has been behaving for most of the holiday season like a spoiled, selfish little baby.
Of course you're there for one another, as long as the thing you want to do conforms exactly with what everyone else thinks you should be doing. A totally sane society. Great job, guys. This is where the movie becomes an irredeemable pile of garbage, because from here on it squarely frames Luther as the villain of this entire story. Because yeah, Luther's selfish here because he wanted to save thousands of dollars, he wanted to get away from his abusive, creepy neighbors and spend that time with his wife, whose relationship is just kind of crumbling with it. Like, geez, guy, fucking what's your problem? Put up Frosty the Snowman. Like, it's not like he knew his daughter was gonna drop on in. Like, that's the entire reason he came up with this plan, because he knew his daughter wasn't gonna be home. So they spent $3,000 on a cruise, and I would be a little upset if I spent $3,000 on a vacation and my daughter didn't tell me she was coming home until the day she's coming home. Luther is the one that has the most understandable point of view in this. Yeah, he comes off like an asshole at a lot of points during this movie.
It's not about the money. We're not doing Christmas this year. We're gonna go away on a cruise.
Bad little elf. Stop squirming around.
But no more so than the people that surround him, who have constantly harassed this family for not wanting to celebrate Christmas in the same way that everyone else does. Like hell, earlier there's a scene where Luther chooses not to buy a calendar from the police, and it's implied that because he didn't buy a, $20 calendar, that now the police won't do their fucking jobs. Nora even gets in on it, calling Luther the villain even though she had agreed to the entire plan. But then she turns around and berates him for being upset that they spent over $3,000 on a cruise that they ditched because their daughter forgot how to call ahead. Luther isn't a very sympathetic character because Tim Allen plays him like an asshole, but his point of view in all this makes the most sense. Like, why lie to your daughter that you and your wife wanted to do something different than what you've done every single other year?
Should have called sooner.
But she didn't, honey.
Why did you tell her we're going to have that party?
Because we are. Oh, I need my vest.
Why does everything in this neighborhood like to be like it was before? This neighborhood wants to stay trapped in this weird idea of white Christian conformity that is just uncomfortable, and the movie drives home that it thinks this is okay, this is right, this is the people you should be loving because they are going to be there for you, except when you want to do something different. Which is the point I cannot hammer in enough. This community was not there for the Kranks until they wanted to do exactly what the community wanted to do. That's not being there for your fellow man, that's just harassment and to the point of conformity. They are entirely hostile to the idea of doing something different. Tracking back a bit here, there really is nothing to the plot after they find out Blair is coming home. It's straightforward and loaded with filler so that the movie hits its runtime. They even toss in a weird subplot where Blair and her fiance get a police escort, but the escort literally has to stall for time. I mean, that's a bit on the nose with that one, don't you think?
Yeah, go.
You need to stall.
Stall?
Ready?
You're not ready.
Okay.
The movie literally says stall for time, like, what am I supposed to do with this? The cops then stumble upon a burglar, so they book him and toss him in the backseat with Blair, taking him with them to the party. The cops leave him locked up in a car, but then a kid lets him go somehow because this kid had the keys to the handcuffs, and he starts to rob the Kranks. While trying to escape though, a mysterious party guest appears in a Santa outfit and smacks him with an umbrella because the guy at the beginning selling umbrellas is actually a random party guest who was actually the real Santa Claus. Wait, I'm sorry, what the fuck? Now, what does this whole side story do for the overall plot? Well, it adds about 5 minutes of runtime so that it technically qualifies as a feature film. This movie is based on the story Skipping Christmas, but the screenplay was written by Christopher Columbus, known as the director of Home Alone 1 and 2, Harry Potter 1 and 2, and Pixels. His work here is terrible, the dialogue is stiff and unnatural, and the only person who occasionally sounds like a human is Luther. Honestly, I can't even really judge the acting here with such a shoddy script. It's not great, but I mean, they don't got much to work with here. In the end, Luther gives the cruise tickets to his rival, Walt, and his wife, who, by the way, suddenly got terminal cancer partway through the movie.
It's Bev Shield. The cancer's back for the third time.
Has it spread?
They think so. Oh, that's awful.
Not really a huge plot point, just kind of thrown in there to make the audience feel bad because death is sad, and saying an elderly woman is nearing her death is an easier way to get you to connect with the character than actually like writing a character and including her in scenes. It's cheap writing, kind of like how when you see a dog in any movie, you know something bad is gonna happen to the dog. After giving away his tickets, Nora applauds Luther for finally learning his lesson. Never change. Never try to be different. The herd is the way you must never stray. Celebrate Christmas and Santa and Frosty and tacky Christmas parties where everyone sings and laughs, and try to forget about that one time your neighbors shouted at your home for you to put up a fiberglass snowman decoration. Because in the end, all that really matters is family and community. As long as you do exactly what your family and community expect you to do, because doing things different is wrong and scary and they don't like that, so don't do that. You know, it's really weird that all these people get mad at someone for not celebrating Christmas, but the weirder aspect of it is why they're mad at him. They're mad that he isn't taking part in the most commercial aspects of Christmas. Like, they mention the church, but it's only in like a passing thing, and that's just like in the donation scene where they say, oh, we're gonna donate to the church, so you know that they are religious, they're Christian, they have a church and they're gonna donate to it. Cool. Also, there is a priest back in the tanning salon scene, but he's only really there because, oh my god, it's really funny when you have a priest staring at your wife in a goddamn bikini, like, what the fuck are you doing? The point I'm trying to get at here is that this movie deals in the secular form of Christmas, not in the Christian form of Christmas. There's no mention of Jesus or the birth of Christ. That's not really relevant. We're talking about secular Christmas here. And there's a lot of good reasons why there wouldn't be a whole lot of Jesus in here. This isn't a Christian movie, this is a Christmas holiday family movie, not a Christian movie, you know? It's not a God's Not Dead, it's trying to be more like an Elf, right? Which, by the way, if you're gonna like watch any movie during the holidays, Elf is a great one. It's one of Will Ferrell's best movies, definitely like way better than this bullshit. But like this whole aspect of it being just secular Christmas makes this whole defense of the neighbors for the holiday make a lot less sense, right? Like, they're not mad about Christian or religious reasons, right? Which, I mean, it's no one's business what holidays you should be celebrating, because fuck you if you kind of do that, right? But like, at least from that point you could see it, right? People believe like that people are worried about his immortal soul, you know, his relationship to the church. I could see that. But that's not what they're worried about. This is like people being worried when you don't have a turkey feast for Thanksgiving, or you don't celebrate Arbor Day or something weird like that, right? It's just like a holiday that you feel is special because you put up a whole bunch of decorations and whatever. In the end, again, this movie is a miserable pile of trash. It tries to push the message that conformity is good, wanting to be different and new is bad. Do not do that. Your community will not like it. Your community will not be there for you. You must be the same. You must be like us. You cannot change. It's about a family who is shamed and harassed by their community and trapped by their daughter's idiocy into making themselves waste thousands of dollars to celebrate Christmas, which one of them really didn't want to do in the first place. For pretty goddamn good reasons. I would not want to be in this community. Like, this sounds like a hell. Most of this movie is filler. All of this movie deserves to be either thrown into a black hole or taught in classes about how not to write a movie. I will say, though, the one good thing about this movie is it is a whole bunch of fun to rip apart. Like, this movie is garbage. And talking about it and dissecting it and going into why it's such garbage is important. To me, this has really been a great time. Honestly, this has been a great time for me. From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you so much for watching this video, for watching any of my videos. And thank you very much. It means a lot to me because I put a lot of work into these videos and not a whole bunch of payoff, as you might see from the numbers. So I don't know. I just get happy when anyone, you know, recognizes that they watch this. I don't know. I try really hard to be as sincere as possible, and I really do appreciate it when people watch my content. Like, it feels good. It feels good. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, please give it a like. That really helps me out. If you have anything you want to say, if you have anything you want to talk about, please leave a comment. I love reading comments. I have had some great comments. I love seeing them. Please leave a comment. Tell me what you thought. If you really like this video, please share it. That helps me so much. It's hard to grow. It really is. I've been doing this for years. It's really hard to grow. And I really appreciate it because I need that kind of help if this is ever going to go anywhere. If I'm ever going to make more content regularly, I need that kind of support. So thank you very much. Even if you don't do that, just watching it's enough for me, really. And if you've really enjoyed it, please subscribe to my channel, watch other videos. I see that stuff. I appreciate it. So thank you very much. Have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate, or whatever you don't celebrate. It doesn't matter. Thank you. And stay rad.